It's from the New York Times, and I chuckle a little bit just because it's chuckle-worthy. Recession warnings are everywhere except in the data. That's the headline. So here's the thing. If recession warnings aren't in the data, then are they actually recession warnings?
No, not really.
Because here's the thing, and I'm not saying that we will or will not go into recession. I don't know. And quite honestly, like the recession versus slowdown is also not something that necessarily matters as well. Like we technically didn't go into recession in the first half of 2022. That economy still sucked. It was really bad.
Sure did.
Really bad. So, in any case, what we are seeing here is a bunch of people saying that they're really nervous about what the next 6 to 9 months could look like. This can be anyone from households to business leaders to politicians to economists and everyone else in between. You've got acrobats that are probably like, man, this could be a little bit rough here. Like, you'll see how it goes. So, I think that ultimately, fear of recession is not something that matters. Because there have been plenty of times, in particular in 2022, where you had, Bloomberg had its, tracker or whatever saying that there was a 100% probability of recession in the next 12 months. Jamie Dimon famously said, there's a hurricane coming for the U.S. economy, and then it ripped for the next 2 years and got better. So predictions or fears about recession are not particularly useful to me. I've kind of gotten to the point where it's like someone says, I've changed my probability of recession from X to Y, and I'm like, great, don't tell me. Like, it's just not useful in any way, shape, or form. What is useful is the data that can potentially be leading indicators of recession. And also understanding, hey, recessions don't usually develop the exact same way. They rhyme, but they don't match. And so I think also understanding that they can come from similar places but appear differently and understanding how those causes can happen is important. But ultimately, what you need to develop in order to have a recession is recessionary data, and that's something that is in short supply right now. We have areas of concern in data. We've talked about the drop in imports coming into the U.S. and how that could potentially impact consumption and the trucking and logistics industry, so there's some stuff there. That's actual hard data that's starting to show up. You have concerns about, housing with inventories building and prices, starting to fall in parts of the country that you're, maybe a little bit concerned about as well. But ultimately, when we talk about the stuff that is going to have to happen if you want to declare a full recession, it's usually industrial production is dropping. You've got, job loss. You've got purchasing power going down, retail sales falling. There's like a list of like 7 or 8 things. And we're just not seeing those right now. And it still is something where, because I don't have any particular insight in forecasting recession, it's not something where I sit there and say I'm better at it than anyone else. I kind of look at it and say, hey, wait for the data to print and see what happens. And don't spend so much time focusing on is recession happening or not, but instead focus on, hey, which way is the data trending? Is it moving differently than it was previously? And if so, is it accelerating or decelerating? And that'll tell you more about what you need to know than these binary recession versus no recession calls.
I'll tell you, I'm with you. I do have to give it, though, to Allison Traeger, which is kind of the next story up here that we had been looking at, where she just says, tariffs will be bad, but they won't cause a recession. In a sea of economists and journalists predicting recession come 2025, she kind of stands out here in saying, no, I don't think we're going to get one. And that's she could be utterly wrong.
Sure.
I think there's an entire possibility. But for her to come out there and say, no, I don't think we're going to get it, and lays out her arguments why, mainly that the U.S. economy is in a pretty strong starting point when we went into this period of uncertainty, as well as just how well insulated the United States economy is from trade. She lays out a series of arguments that, no, I don't think that, and this is her words that I'm summarizing, that she does not believe the United States economy will sink into recession. It may slow, but not actually entering that recession territory. I don't know. I just found it refreshing and different compared to everything else that we've been reading over the course of the last 2 months.